And now, the First Alert Storm Team, live from the 13 Now digital desk. This is Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Mariana Toyota.
Tropic Topics. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ross Whitley. We've got Grace Thornton. We're doing a little bit differently today because we've got the new studio. So why not show off all show off all the new tools? So I'm at the green screen currently. We've got Grace at the video wall. We're going to show off everything that we can here, and we're going to highlight current situation. This week there's been a lot of conversation, yes, about some kind of tropical activity in the Gulf of Mexico. Thankfully, that's not going to happen, but we are going to explain how that can happen, and we're also going to take a look at the current setup out there. It's all good news, so that is what we're planning on doing. You got anything else to add, Grace?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of talk, so we just got to get into why it's not happening.
Exactly.
You know.
All right, so let's go right to it. We're going to start out with the radar and what we have currently ongoing. A whole lot of shower and thunderstorm activity out there, a good bit of lightning, and these storms are extremely proficient at producing heavy rainfall rates. We've had rainfall rates 1, 2, 3 inches per hour. We saw just south of Vernon earlier a rainfall rate where a storm produced over 3 inches in about an hour and a half just south of town, which did prompt a flash flood warning. I think that warning is still in effect for at least a little bit longer. We've also had some very heavy rainfall rates recently moving through Weehawken, as well as right now it is just absolutely dumping into Funiac Springs and portions of Walton County back down toward Freeport, and that's a nasty little storm there. I wouldn't be surprised if they severe warn that as we go through the next 30 minutes or so as that storm does continue to move off basically to the east and southeast. So that is the big threat going through the rest of this evening into the overnight hours and through the day tomorrow is the excessive rainfall. We are under a slight risk, which is a 2 out of 4 threat. So it is a medium threat overall as far as excessive rainfall goes, and it is basically the flash flooding. What we're concerned about is these thunderstorms that are very proficient at producing rain, causing flash flooding very, very quickly. So if you're placed under a flash flood warning, it either means flash flooding is imminent or it's already happening. And the main key here is do not drive across flooded roads. It's completely avoidable when you're in a vehicle. If you come up on a flooded roadway, turn around, don't drown. You can't see the road, you don't know the condition of the road. The road could be washed out, it could be a 6-foot hole that you're getting ready to drive into. So please, 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 if the road is flooded and you can't see the road, do not drive across it. Always remember that saying, turn around, don't drown. We also are under a slight risk, again, 2 out of 4 as we go through the day tomorrow for flash flooding once again. And why do we have all of this? Well, it's that stationary boundary or surface trough, if you will, that is situated across the southeast. So this is continuing to just pump moisture across our area. We've got a couple little extra little spins ongoing over the Gulf of Mexico. While they're not low pressure systems, they're locally enhancing shower and thunderstorm activity, and we could deal with that tomorrow. Part of that is due to the shape of the coastline here itself, helping to enhance that spin. We also have a tut, which Grace is going to talk about in a minute, that is going to be moving across the Gulf of Mexico as we head into tomorrow and then again on Saturday and Sunday. But on Saturday and Sunday, we are going to start to see some of that lift dissipating, so we should return closer to our normal for this time of year. It's still going to be enhanced rainfall chances, just not quite as bad as it was over the last couple of days. And then going into next week, just onshore flow to deal with. So very similar to what we typically see over the summertime pattern. How about our FUTURECAST here and what can develop as far as tropical activity? So thankfully this is not the situation that we had this week, but this is the possibility. This is the reason why we were watching the Gulf of Mexico. Anytime fronts get into the Gulf of Mexico, we obviously have warm water this time of year. Some of the buoy readings going into this week were around 90 degrees around Louisiana, as well as Apalachicola. Both had 90-degree readings. Our water temperature, at least near shore at the moment, thanks to the rain and the chop, down to 83 degrees. So that's what these surface troughs can actually help us with, is lowering those surface temperatures. But when you get a trough that's situated over here or a front, you have spin already ongoing in the atmosphere. That's what a trough is. It's an area of lift. It's helping to create that shower and thunderstorm activity. And on that area of spin, you can have a surface low develop. When that happens, it's already situated over warm water and with high humidity and low shear. So warm water is just one aspect. If you've got a front there, you already know you have high humidity. And if there's low shear, not always a promise with a front, but if there is low shear and you do have a surface low develop, well, with enough time, you can see tropical formation happen over that warm water. Then the question becomes, well, what is the steering environment that is present? So if you have a trough that's situated, say, in Texas, and you have the Bermuda High, which, again, Grace is getting ready to address, if you have that off to our east, which we usually do, then the steering current eventually moves this inland, and you deal with the tropical system based on that. But that's how tropical formation can happen in the Gulf of Mexico. So let's throw it over to Grace now, and she's going to talk about the current setup. And thankfully, the good news, it's nice and quiet out there.
Thanks, Ross. So yeah, our setup this week, we did see a little bit of that, but thankfully that broad area of potential low pressure was not able to, take advantage of those factors that we have out there. So we do have that high pressure off to our east, as we always do most of the time. And taking a look at right now, this is water vapor, so showing us where the dry air is versus where that wetter and more moist air masses is. You can see right here our TUT is labeled, so that is a upper tropospheric trough. That's a little bit hard to say, and I won't say it again because it's hard to say. But to the naked eye, it kind of looks like what a hurricane looks like, but it is not. It's actually in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so it actually is helping kind of inhibit the chances for any formation here in the next few days. Going over to our Saharan dust forecast, you can see a humongous plume of that Saharan dust, and as we move through the rest of this week, we're going to continue to see all those plumes make their way all the way from West Africa up towards Panama City and areas of Texas and the southeast. A lot of times this year you notice those gorgeous sunsets out there. Has a lot to do with our Saharan dust, and it's a large inhibitor of why we're not seeing any activity move across the equator here. So into our tropical forecast, you can see right here that tropical high to the east of us, and then as we look towards the equator, lots of that flow there, but as you can see, nothing really going on in the Gulf. We have a high shear environment as well as that Saharan dust, so that's really going to inhibit any kind of tropical formation over the next few days. For our coastal week ahead, that's what is going to be also causing we had our stationary boundary, which we're still dealing with, which we're not going to get another kind of push of moisture through the next couple of days until about Monday. That's when our rain chances will increase once again. So you'll see 70–80% for Thursday and Friday, so that boundary is going to be a little bit more stationary for the next few days. Saturday and Sunday, we're going to start to wash out those rain chances just a little bit at 50% each day, so kind of a coin flip as we head into next week. But thankfully, we're not looking at any tropical activity, even though earlier this week didn't really look like it. But
yeah, I mean, we got to a 30% chance earlier this week, and thankfully that surface trough did lift back over land, and that was really the deterrent here, is that we had more land interaction than some of the models were indicating. But certainly we have been drenched with rain the last couple of days. We've got a couple more days to deal with it today and tomorrow. Again, take the flash flooding threat very seriously, as it is still going to remain for our Thursday and our Friday. But heading into the weekend, we still have high rain chances, 50% along the coast and about 50 to 60% for inland areas. And the greatest risk of rain, or at least chance of rain, of running into rain, going through the next 7 after today and tomorrow, is going to come on Monday. So a little closer return to our typical summer pattern. But we're all good news here. We've had a lot of chatter about, there's a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. No, there was never a tropical storm there. We were looking for the potential of that formation, and thankfully that is not going to happen. And the Atlantic is nice and quiet, looks to stay that way at least for a couple more weeks before we see signals, maybe some of that dry air dissipating in those trades, weakening going into August, which is when we start to hit our peak. So August 20th to October 20th is the peak of hurricane season. So we are not to the peak of the season yet. Thankfully, things have been relatively quiet. Only 3 named storms so far this year.
3 named storms. I think by this time last year, we were up to maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah,
So,
we had Elsa and Danny by this point in time last year. I think
Fred was in August. So.
And Fred was in August, and we obviously dealt with impacts from Claudette. We had moisture left over from Danny, and then Elsa really was more of a scare than anything because we had dry air around. So certainly a lot more tame this year than it was at this point in time last year. I'm crossing my fingers that the rest of the season stays relatively inactive, but we are still forecasting an active hurricane season, mainly for August and September. So we're getting ready to move into it. So enjoy the quiet activity as we got it, and stay safe out there as we do have the rain presently ongoing.
Yeah, and
Thank you for watching Tropic Topics, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning and Marietta Toyota. Be sure to download the StormTrack 13 app today to stay up to date with all of the latest weather information. For more local news, weather, sports, and more, visit mypanhandle.com.